The Division 2 development team is looking at changing some of the key ways that players level up their season passes and SHD watches. Much to the outcry of the community, the developers specifically cited the floor 10 glitch or exploit or what have you as one of the main things that they're targeting in their changes. Let's break it down. How's it going, everyone? It's your friendly neighborhood Delta back at it with another Division 2 video. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting my videos and subscribing recently. You guys have been absolutely crushing it. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for your viewership and choosing to subscribe to me. I'm gonna keep the content coming, I promise you guys. With that being said, if you're watching now and you're not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button for more weekly Division content. And you know, of course, it does help me out just a little bit, and I do appreciate each and every one of you. Alrighty now, without further ado, let's talk about why the changes to the way players in the Division 2 gain expertise is not such a bad thing. First things first is we need to consider the size and scale of the Division 2. The Division 2, scale-wise, is incredibly vast. The Division 2's size and scale is a function of a few things that correspond with the developers' design goals for the game. First of all, it's clear that the developers wanted to have variety when it comes to the type of content and encounters that players would be interacting with on a daily basis. If you were playing the same exact piece of content over and over and over again and you didn't have any outlet to go elsewhere and try different things, the game would get super stale almost instantly. Not to mention the encounters are the exact same every single time, and there's really not much variation when it comes to each time you want to play that same piece of content, it's the exact same. Which is part of the reason why a game such as The Division needs a wide variety of things for players to experience. In that same line of thinking, different kinds of encounters requires different levels of balancing. And with different levels of balancing requires the need for different kinds of rewards. Let me clarify that a little bit. The reward structure for an encounter is a function of a few different things. First of all is the time invested in the activity. Next of all is the difficulty of the encounter. Both of these different variables together would determine the amount of rewards given for a given encounter. For example, if an encounter takes about 30 seconds for you to do, you wouldn't expect it to give a huge amount of XP because it doesn't require a lot of time, and therefore could be considered not as difficult to complete. They're a little bit more off the cuff, so to speak. Whereas longer encounters such as missions, control points, strongholds, raids, etc., all which require more than 10 minutes to complete, should net the player more rewards in terms of gear and experience for their efforts. For the most part, this is true within the Division 2. If you load up Tidal Basin on Heroic, you can expect it to take an hour or so, but you know you're going to get a large amount of loot and experience in return for your efforts. Where this system is starting to break down, in the case of the Division 2, is with resource convoys and now the floor 10 glitch. Now, I'm not here to comment on whether or not the glitch should be disabled or fixed or not. I'm just here to provide a different perspective as to why the developers might be considering this. The Summit's floor 10 exploit, glitch, whatever you want to call it, represents a complete breakdown in the system that I described before. On average, it takes all of 1 minute to complete floor 10 solo on challenging difficulty with 10 directives. I know the encounters in the Summit are balanced so that you keep going up in difficulty as you go up in floors, so it becomes more of a challenge the higher you go up. However, in the case of farming floor 10, you're not going up and you're not receiving a higher challenge. However, you are experiencing greatly increased rewards, not exactly facing the challenge intended by the developers for you to receive such a reward. But Delta, what rewards are you referring to? I'm referring to the massive amounts of XP gained for the minimal amount of time spent on each run of the floor. See, a solo player on challenging difficulty with the appropriate build can knock down floor 10 in about a minute on average. A team or a solo player who knows the spawns of the ads in the mode can knock it down probably even faster, approaching 40 seconds. For that time spent on that singular encounter, you're rewarded with just under 500,000 experience points. Not to mention all the gear that the NPCs drop, especially because you're on challenging mode, which gives you relatively decent gear. Now, since most people's primary concern with floor 10 is leveling, I decided to compare the XP gained between floor 10 and a random control point on heroic difficulty. Seeing as, of course, control points were sold and marketed as the premier open world activity for people to do who didn't want to farm landmarks in the Dark Zone. And here we have it, folks. The disparity between the floor 10 summit farm and that of just doing a control point is kind of staggering. According to my calculations, doing floor 10 for a whole hour will net you 42.6 SHD levels, meaning that at the start of the season that you could knock down your entire season pass doing floor 10 in just about 2.5 hours. That's kind of crazy because that's supposed to be a season's worth of content. That pass is supposed to last for about 3 months or so. Whereas if you look at control points, according to my same calculations used on floor 10, doing control points for an hour would net you 6.3 levels. That means in the case of comparing floor 10 to doing control points for an hour, doing floor 10 is about 7 times more efficient than that of doing control points. As you can see, doing floor 10 is way more rewarding for your time, sure, but it completely and utterly overshadows the usefulness and utility of any other farming method in the game, even including resource convoys. The only thing that those other farming methods have over floor 10 is that they're slightly more interesting to do. But that's not saying a whole lot when the utility is so great of doing floor 10. People would rather just do floor 10 because it's the fastest way to level up, say, the season pass. Maybe you're a new player and you want to get to level 1000 really quickly on your SHD watch. I understand if it was implemented and left there as like a kind of catch-up mechanic for those who were behind on their SHD watches, or maybe new players who just joined and just started playing the Division 2. I mean, I understand it a little bit. But as you can see, Massive has decided to turn some of their resources and their attention towards this because this disparity right here. A lot of players within the community have begun asking the question, why are you doing this now? Why, after this has been in the game for 2 whole years now, do you decide that now is the time that we're gonna nerf floor 10? And I think that this criticism is a little bit funny because by that very same logic, you're asking basically, oh, the shrapnel trap has been broken since, Warlords of New York. Why are you just doing it now? It's been like this for 2 years. In my opinion, that criticism does not work. As I mentioned in a couple of my previous videos, the development of the Division 2 has entered a new phase, so to speak. Massive and Ubisoft are no longer focusing on just getting to the next content drop, and so now they can focus more of their attention and resources on making the game better and more in line with their expectations. Maybe they could be doing this in preparation for the new game mode Descent, because we do not know anything about their reward structure at this point. We know it doesn't reward loot, so to speak. What else do we as Division players receive in exchange for our efforts? We receive experience. So it's entirely plausible to say the new Descent mode may or may not make up for this drastic reduction in our farming efficiency in terms of experience, because it does put Massive in a bad position where they have to take away one of the most efficient farming methods, but then when they do so, they have nothing to replace it with. But anyways, my friends, my name has been Delta. I've been your friendly neighborhood Delta, and I appreciate you guys clicking on the video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think that they should nerf this, not nerf it? Do you think it's fine the way it is? Do you think maybe there's other methods that could be better? Say for example, if control points gave you the same amount of experience as floor 10, would you do control points? Given the fact that they're a little bit more interesting to go ahead and play and they're slightly more variable, let me know down in the comment section below. As always, my friends, if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you have not for more Division content I post weekly, and let me know what you thought of the video. Do you guys like this data-informed, data-driven approach to making videos? I had a blast making this video because it kind of incorporates things that I've been learning about in my college experience. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this. Anyways, I've been your friendly neighborhood Delta, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.